the love of the game.
No, you're crazy. That's what I always get.
It's what inspires the pros and amateurs alike.
They got me happy because they were all like giving me encouragement.
People of all ages, backgrounds, and walks of life.
It's fun. She encourages me, I encourage her, and it's better than lifting by yourself.
He was in a rough place a few months ago, and now to be back out here with your friends, your extended family, running around playing football, it's just awesome.
And while their stories are different, they all share one thing.
No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it.
This is Love of the Game, stories of inspirational Bay Area athletes.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for this KTVU Fox 2 News Special. I'm Mark Ibanez.
And I'm Heather Holmes. They are extraordinary and inspirational. For the next hour, we'll be sharing with you stories of Bay Area athletes, people who have used sports to empower themselves and others or overcome personal hardships.
And if you're a baseball fan, it's a theme that may remind you of A's outfielder Stephen Piscotty, who lost his mother this year to ALS. Piscotty grew up in Pleasanton, and this season, via a trade, came home to play for the A's and to help with his mother's care. I caught up with him during spring training this past March, where he told me about his mom and her influence on and off the field.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Piscotty. My son Steven plays right field for the St. Louis Cardinals. His love of baseball began by going to the Oakland A's games with his dad. One time, he even scored Jason Giambi's autograph on a hat.
It's quite apparent that Stephen Piscotty had plenty of family support as he moved up the chain to the major leagues. And now that he's made the big league dream happen, it's his turn to offer support to his mother, Gretchen, who was diagnosed with ALS more than a year ago. Comfort comes in many forms. One of them, proximity. After signing a lucrative contract in 2016 with the Cardinals, Piscotty struggled with injuries and the natural stress, of course, that comes with such a devastating diagnosis to a loved one.
Relatively hard to watch, you know, to see the progression take place, and you know, I feel so bad, and you know, I want to try to put a positive spin on it. There's things just that are out of our control, and we're just trying to make the best of a bad situation, and hopefully that by what we're doing, we can hopefully one day get to a point where other folks don't have to go through it.
Word began to leak out that the Cardinals would be willing to trade Piscotty to a Bay Area team so he could ostensibly be closer to his mother. Well, this winter, when the trade was consummated with the A's, some called it a deal with heart and sentiment attached. There may have been some of that, but Billy Beane made it clear they wanted Piscotty for baseball reasons.
At one point, Stephen fit us perfectly. I mean, just, you know, you eliminate, you know, the other part of the story. And I actually called John Mozilla in August and said, listen, this is a guy who fits our baseball team, right-handed hitting outfielder, cost control. Well, hopefully it was a good transaction that had a good side story to it, and we're glad Stephen's home.
You know, I feel like they really wanted me here. I'm glad I'm here, and I'm just really excited to get going.
After high school, he played some travel ball with the Danville Hoots. And then when Hoots was over, it was time for some college ball at Stanford.
Gretchen Piscotty had a chance to travel down to Arizona this spring to watch her son find his way with the team he grew up loving as a kid. And she still is his most ardent supporter and sometimes coach.
I've definitely gotten that feeling of strength, and almost in the literal sense. I've been in the weight room several times, and when I'm trying to rep out a final push-up or, you know, whatever it is, thoughts have gone through my head like, you know what, my mom can't use her legs right now. I can do one more, you know, and I've already felt that come out a bunch of times in my training this off-season and spring training. So, you know, I feel like her strength is pouring into me, and it's gonna, you know, help me have a successful season.
Of course, anyone who makes it to the major leagues has accomplished plenty, but the events of the recent past have reminded Piscotty there's more to life than baseball. And if that ever slips his mind, his mom is always there to remind him. And now that he's with the A's, she can do it from a lot closer vantage point. Does she critique your game? How big a baseball fan? I mean, obviously she's your fan.
Yeah.
But does she give you batting tips and stuff?
She does, and I definitely get it from other parts of my family, but not from her. She's just very supportive in whatever I do, and she knows me, and she tries to she knows how wrapped up I can get into this game, and she kind of pulls me away and tries to remind me, there's more to life than just baseball sometimes, and so she keeps me very grounded and very humble, and it's such an awesome influence to have.
And how about that? Stephen Piscotty, and that baby is gone.
Wow. And to the Piscotty family in Pleasanton, if you're standing and cheering or maybe a little tear, we know why.
Wow, remember that? Quite an emotional moment upon Piscotty's return from bereavement leave. Following his mother's passing back in May, Piscotty touching his heart, looking up at the sky after a home run in his first at-bat after his return. And after that game, Piscotty said that his mom would put her hand over her chest to say, "I love you and thank you" in her final days. That gesture would become his thing going forward. We're wishing all the best to Stephen and, of course, the entire Piscotty family.
The San Jose Earthquakes made a dream come true this past season for one of their biggest and youngest fans. 10-year-old Destiny Colorado signed a one-day contract with the team to be their honorary captain for the day. KTVU's Asna Smith tells us she fit right in and showed the team what a real fight is as she battles cancer.
For Destiny Coronado, it's days like this she could only dream of. As a big soccer fan, she entered Avaya Stadium beaming with pride.
It's a soccer dream come true, and it's also really exciting because I've never done this before.
On this night, the 6th grader wasn't just a fan in the stands. The 10-year-old became the San Jose Earthquakes' newest member. Suited up in a uniform, her jersey signed by the team.
What we wanted to do is they sign a symbolic contract.
The Earthquakes making it official, Destiny signing a symbolic one-day contract with the Quakes general manager to serve as their honorary captain, complete with an honorary handshake.
I think there's a couple of lessons that we can learn from having met you and understanding, the courage that it took to stand up against an illness and show how strong you are.
This match against Atlanta United is nothing compared to the battle Destiny has been facing the past 5 months. Back in April, Destiny was rushed to the ER with abdominal pain, a CT scan showing a malignant tumor growing in one of her ovaries. She was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, undergoing weeks of chemotherapy.
I don't think anybody wants to think that, is my daughter going to be here tomorrow?
Through it all, Destiny kept her spirits up, not letting the disease bring her down.
Seeing Destiny recover from a cancer bed to now smiling, dancing, talking, and walking out with the Earthquakes, it's unexplainable.
As honorary captain, Destiny gave the team a pregame pep talk, participated in warm-ups, and kicked the ceremonial first goal. She walked out with the team, even doing the coin toss.
Meeting the soccer players really got me happy because they were all giving me encouragement. They're just saying good things and that I was a warrior.
It's strength from the community and the team, proving if anyone can kick childhood cancer, it's Destiny.
My next goal is to encourage kids that always look at the bright side of cancer and never look at the horrible side of it. Just always be happy. So that's my next goal.
And now to a story about tragedy and triumph. The Cardinal Newman High School football team in Santa Rosa experienced both last year after the devastating firestorm in the North Bay. It wiped out much of the school and many of the players' homes. As KTVU's Deborah Villone tells us, the team came together. In fact, they went all the way to the championship.
If the cheers seem louder and the line to get in longer, it is playoff football and maybe something more.
It's been bizarre, right? Like we all could agree on that.
Bizarre, the wildland fire that swept in from Napa County and devoured entire Santa Rosa neighborhoods. Bizarre to lose half your campus and have 1/6 of your student body lose their homes. Newman's coach is finding it hard to let this season end.
Every year you lose some kids you really love and parents you really love, but this is something you'll always remember. I think, this is one of those things when you reflect back on the team, how close they became because of the tragedy.
Perennial favorites on the football field, these players know success. But adversity?
They'll be talking about this and writing their college essays about it.
9 players escaped with their families but lost everything. A character test, says this dad, and football helps.
It's very therapeutic for everybody involved. You know, having the Friday night come out here and have the team to keep winning. You know, everything was pretty much taken away. And then they had football to go back on. So it was a blessing.
Yeah, there was a fire and there was football.
The athletic director marvels at how players kept their heads in the game.
Once you get in the football field, it's a football game. You don't worry about it. It's a release for our kids, which has been really good.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
But I think it's going to make them stronger. It's made them stronger already.
Just ask number 56. Teammates might say they'd share the shirt off their back. This season, they did.
Some people stay at other people's houses. People have gotten close from other teammates, and anything that can help. Food, water. It's this family. It's always going to be remembered in the history of sports for Sonoma County. It's always going to be remembered.
We get down, we get back up.
This year's win-loss story, how the Cardinal beat the Fire.
And what they had to overcome is really special. I really soft spot in my heart for them.
An exciting finish. Newman and rival Rancho Cotati were tied until late in the game. Then Rancho scored, but Newman stormed back with a touchdown in the final minute, made the extra point to win by 1. In Santa Rosa, Deborah Villalone, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, so in the end, Cardinal Newman did wind up losing the NCS Division III championship against Marin Catholic. But what a game. The score was 59-56. A great effort, though, from the team.
Especially considering all they've been through. Well, another destructive fire this year, this time in Butte County. The San Francisco 49ers reaching out to help. The team invited the Paradise High School football players to Levi's Stadium for Monday Night Football. Paradise High had been ranked #1 in their division until that fire forced them to forfeit the rest of the season. Most of those players lost their homes.
It's been rough. We lost our house, so we've just been living in a hotel, but getting to see all my friends right now is really good.
The 49ers gave Paradise High players tickets to watch the game against the New York Giants, also field access. The team said it was a welcome distraction and the first time since the devastating fire that they were able to all come together.
Well, more inspirational stories ahead. After the break, the incredible show of support from the Stanford football team for one of their own as he battled cancer.
It was a long time where I didn't know if that would ever happen again. Incredibly lucky and grateful to be able to, get back out here and do what I do.
Man, that kid's got game. Move over, Evel Knievel. This is 9-year-old AJ Stunts. Great name, huh, Mark?
Absolutely.
The 4th grader from San Mateo started riding when he was just 3 and is already getting paid stunt show gigs. All year, we've been showcasing some of the Bay Area's youngest and most impressive talent. So if you think your kid has what it takes, show us on Facebook or Twitter with the hashtag #ThatKidsGotGame. More when we return. Welcome back to this KTVU Fox 2 News special. This college football season has been an emotional one for Stanford linebacker Ryan Beecher. Late last year, he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He missed winter and spring practice for treatment, but was back by the summer after 6 rounds of chemotherapy. As KTVU's Scott Reese tells us, through it all, Beecher had the support of his teammates, who were ecstatic to see him back on the field.
Ryan Beecher was hitting his stride last season. The former walk-on had earned a scholarship and was seeing the field for the first time in his college career.
I was feeling good, playing good, kind of came out of nowhere.
A cancer diagnosis so often does. Ryan got his right before Stanford's bowl game, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
You just hear the word, like cancer, and you just jump to conclusions. Your mind races to a bunch of places. The world got flipped upside down a little bit. I've compared it to a blind side.
When you hear news like that,
world just stops. Ryan is one of my closest friends in the world. It's just kind of an earth-shattering moment.
Scary couple days initially.
When the Stanford team flew to San Antonio last December for the Alamo Bowl, Ryan stayed home for treatments. But even though he wasn't there physically, he was certainly present.
I was gearing up to watch the game. We're gonna have a viewing party, and I get a phone call from J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Me and my family have been really close with his family because my mom had cancer and she beat it, and every time my teammates supported it, I always felt a lot of gratitude in it, and I wanted to do it for him.
He asked, is it okay if me and some of the guys on the team pay tribute, put some numbers on our arms, necks, and stuff like that? I said yes, and I was very touched by that gesture.
The first touchdown I scored, I'm dedicating it to you.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has a touchdown.
When it happened, I was like, yeah, it was meant to be. It was for him. That's when I pointed it to the camera and made sure everybody knew what was up.
That was an emotional moment, but in a good way. Messages of support poured in throughout that whole game of people that were like, oh, why aren't you there? Why is 43 on people's arms?
Everyone was thinking about Ryan because he's our teammate, he's Beecher, he's a beast. And we wanted to make sure that wherever he was watching, he knew that he was with us.
Fast forward about 4 months, Ryan completed his chemotherapy and began to work out.
Start training a little bit early in the spring, get a little jump start.
With the intention of rejoining his team for the upcoming season.
He missed winter and spring football and then came back in the summer, which is the hardest conditioning. When other guys were falling out of runs, he was running right with the pack, which is insane.
I put my arm around him and he said, Coach, I wanted to be here, but I didn't think I was going to be here. I wasn't sure. He's worked extremely hard. You know, God bless the doctors, and his body thankfully responded to the treatments. He was there day one, ready for practice.
And now Ryan Beecher, the so-called beast, is back, flying around the field, seemingly having beaten his toughest opponent yet.
It's very, very inspiring to watch. He's done everything the right way.
The guys are very emotional about him, and they should be. He was in a rough place a few months ago, and now to be back out here with your friends, your extended family, running around playing football, it's just awesome.
It was a long time where I didn't know if that would ever happen again. Incredibly lucky and grateful to be able to, get back out here and do what I do, but also in the way that I like to do it. That's full speed, full effort.
All right, he's down.
At Stanford, Scott Reese, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Love this next story that we've got for you. 92-year-old weightlifter. Yeah. She's in a class all by herself. After the break, we're going to introduce you to this world record holder as she shares her secret to success.
What do you think of that lift?
Well, I can do it. It's hard on your back, but thinking also it's making my back stronger.
She's something else. Also, that kid's got game. This time, it's 3-year-old Kane Hurricane Mendez from San Jose. Look at him go. From basketball to baseball to golf, Kane's dad says he's been balling since he was just 18 months old. More after the break.
Welcome back to this KTVU Fox 2 News Special. Next story is proof that you're only as old as you feel. How about 92-year-old Evelyn Kilgore? She's a world record-holding weightlifter. Didn't start lifting until she was 75, but she hasn't stopped since. KTVU's Claudine Wong shows us how she does it and shares her ironclad secret to success.
It is just an amazing thing to watch 92-year-old Evelyn Kilgore push her walker to get to her barbell before she gets set and starts her lift. Make no mistake, smile and all, she is a force to be reckoned with.
When did you go to your first weightlifting competition?
Monterey in 2013.
How'd you do?
I was world champion.
That's pretty good.
World champion, state champion, and national champion.
She holds those records in the deadlift, which requires her to lift the barbell off the ground and stand up straight.
What do you think of that lift?
Well, I can do it. It's hard on your back, but thinking also it's making my back stronger.
Kilgore grew up in the East Bay and says she's stayed busy for all of her 92 years.
I crochet, I've done quite a bit of that. And
she is a mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, and fair to say she's setting the bar pretty high.
Did your family work out with you?
No.
The guy who actually got her into all of this, Mike Dayton, holds a lot of titles of his own, from Mr. America to the world's strongest man. He even has more than a few Guinness World Records. He met Kilgore at the gym. She had retired in 1982 and had been walking, but after a fall was looking at other options.
Well, Evelyn, when she started lifting weights, she was 75 years old and she had never lifted a weight in her life. And she was worried that she was getting older and her health was starting to go, and she could feel that she at 75 was getting old.
He started her on the more traditional gym workouts, but then realized she had more to give.
He came over one day and I was growing big pumpkins and lifted the pumpkins. And
so you were already lifting pumpkins, so why not lift weights?
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Her first competition was 17 years ago. To this day, Dayton says she's never failed a deadlift. And she says she doesn't really worry about how much weight is on that bar.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever Mike puts on the bar.
He puts it on, you pick it up.
So Evelyn is just one in a million, though. And when she lifts in the meets, let me tell you, she walks up with a walker, and then she lifts in the open women's class. She doesn't lift in the handicap. She's a handicapped person that can lift with a handicap. She wants to lift in the open women. It's all related to, you have to be in an age group and a weight group. So she lifts in her age and weight group, to which there's nobody her age that's lifting. So she's all alone.
All alone at the top of her game. Sherry Ablett is her training partner.
The first competition in Chico that I went to, I was the oldest woman there, and I was 55. Now we have women 82 in their 70s, so older lifting has gotten more popular since we've been bringing our team to the competitions. It's fun. She encourages me, I encourage her, and it's better than lifting by yourself. If we can have fun, then it makes it easier.
Kilgore will be the first to tell you that at 92, she can't overdo it.
I go Mondays and Thursdays, and that's all.
But whatever she is doing is working. At her last meet in Chico, Evelyn competed in the 90 to 95 age division in the 181-pound weight class. She did 3 lifts. The third was 93.5 pounds. She gets it, breaking her own world record to establish a new one. She is the oldest woman to ever compete in an organized, sanctioned weightlifting event.
So you're competing against yourself.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fierce competition, I'm guessing here.
Yeah.
And maybe the most common question she gets is the one we also had to ask her.
Everyone wants to know what the secret is.
Get up and move is my statement.
Claudine Wong, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
There you go. Some good advice, right? Turning tragedy into hope. When we return, the campaign against suicide led by a high school varsity football player after he lost someone special.
And when she passed away, it really hit me that it's happening all around us and someone needs to do something about it.
And that kid's got game. This is 8-year-old Aliyah Campos, the young gymnast from Concord, envisions Olympics in her future, and so do we, as a matter of fact. Aliyah's mom tells us she's in an invite-only competitive gymnastics program on the 5-member TOPS team for elite gymnasts. We'll be back right after the break.
Welcome back to this KTVU Fox 2 News special. Last year's varsity quarterback at Sarah High School in San Mateo spent the season showing off his leadership skills both on and off the field.
And KTVU's Amber Lee was there as he launched a campaign against teen suicide after suffering a loss of his own.
Friday Night Lights brings out a large crowd at Sarah High in San Mateo. The Padres host the Monarchs of San Jose's Archbishop Nitti High. Parents and teens fill the stands. The audience, Luke Batari, Sarah's quarterback, is targeting with his message of teen suicide prevention. Luke's mother tells me he lost a handful of peers to suicide, including a former girlfriend just 6 months ago. She was 15 years old.
And when she passed away, it really hit me that it's happening all around us and someone needs to do something about it, and I want to do something to save lives.
Luke founded Play for Prevention, a nonprofit. He had socks made, red stripes, in honor of his friend's favorite color, and the logo is an eyebrow arch, a tribute to her love for makeup. On this night, players on both teams wore the socks in support. Luke's mother says the socks are designed to get people talking.
It is happening, and keeping it a secret is not helping anybody. The more we can talk about it to our kids and the more we can bring it into schools and have kids talking about it, I think the better off we're going to be.
Luke hopes that Play for Prevention inspires and empowers teens to talk about their struggles, that bringing suicide out into the light may help the darkness from becoming overwhelming.
It's not a sign of weakness if you're in struggle to reach out and say you have a problem.
The teen quarterback hopes to use football's popularity to raise awareness.
I'm glad that I could bring this to attention and try to make a difference.
This game is only the beginning. Luke and his mother plan to bring their awareness campaign, Play for Prevention, to other sporting events in the coming months. In San Mateo, Amber Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Running with a message. Coming up, meet a Bay Area man who quit his job at Apple to run more than 5,000 miles across the country. More on his journey and why he kicked it all off on Election Day.
It seems like we don't lead anymore as a nation with kindness. I would just like to kind of see us take a step back.
And that kid's got game. I want you to meet 2-year-old Graham Rue. The little slugger from Brentwood started hitting off the tee at just 14 months old. But, well, then he got bored, according to his mom. So they started pitching to him. And look at him go. We'll be back right after the break.
That's great. Welcome back to this KTVU Fox 2 News special. The midterm elections have passed, of course, but for one Santa Clara runner, that was just the beginning of his journey. Matty Gregg quit his job as an engineer at Apple, and then on Election Day, kicked off an epic tour of America. KTVU's Frank Malicote caught up with him before he took off, and he learned his goal is to meet as many people as he can to change the world for the better.
Long-distance running is a lonely sport. At Santa Clara's Matty Gregg is running a long way.
Oh, you're crazy. That's what I always get.
The 40-year-old Apple engineer will leave his job of 13 years on Election Day in Cupertino and embark on a 5,000-plus mile run across America, 275 days on his feet. The 22-mile-a-day trek will take him through 25 states as he tours much of the southern U.S., with his final stop in his home state of New Hampshire in July of 2019.
It's a bucket list item for me. And, you know, I just turned 40, and I figure that it's something completely out of the norm, something different.
It's different, all right, but not for Greg, who has run over 40 ultra marathons and pounded out nearly 4,000 road miles with running mates like firefighter Rick Hutchinson. The difference on this 9-month journey, it marks the beginning of his new political career. His goal is to meet the U.S. voters head on and find out why our country is so divided.
it seems like we don't lead anymore as a nation with kindness. I would just like to kind of see us take a step back, assume positive intent a little bit more, and start from that premise. That's really interesting.
The wisdom he gleans from town to town, Greg says will energize him along the way and ultimately mold his platform when he runs for office in New Hampshire, where he hopes to create positive change.
I think it'll be very important for me to meet people in remote towns and in America in general. And I think that they're going to make a difference in my life as much as I hope to someday make a difference in theirs.
Greg's got some history behind him. His second cousin is Judd Gregg, the former governor, senator, and congressman from New Hampshire. Maddie's also running for a cause.
We hope to raise $1 million.
That money will go to the Firefighters Cancer Support Network, a nonprofit that provides care and cancer prevention training for firefighters nationwide.
We know that being in the industry does take years off of our lives, but it's something that you know, we want to do. You know, kind of like what Maddie's doing, helping. That's our way of helping as well.
Helping. It's in Maddie Gregg's DNA.
Good morning.
He's hoping his kindness is contagious as he begins his trek to meet America, all 5,075 miles of it.
All right, bigger than basketball. When we return, you're going to meet a little boy with a big support system, how the Stanford basketball team helped him through cancer treatments.
They are very inspiring. It's unbelievable hanging out with these guys because they are huge giants. Whoa! And I'm little.
And that kid's got game. This is Tyler Williams, who was a senior at Modesto Christian when he put up this alley-oop to himself in his senior all-star game this year. Williams has since graduated and is now playing basketball for Southwest Baptist University. We'll have more after the break.
Welcome back to this KTVU Fox 2 News special. An 11-year-old cancer patient being treated at Lucille Packard Children's Hospital is powering his way through treatments with some support from the Stanford basketball team. As KTVU's Scott Reese tells us, what started as a kind gesture has now become a great friendship.
Expect the unexpected. A lesson most of us don't learn until adulthood. Ty Whistler learned it at age 10.
He actually got kicked in the head playing soccer. He was a goalie, got kicked in the head, and he started having concussion-like symptoms. So we put him into the ambulance, got him to the hospital, and then they found the tumor. So a kick in the head saved his life.
Next day we were told 2 days later you need to be in Oakland for brain surgery. So it happened so fast.
The diagnosis? Medulloblastoma, an extremely rare form of brain cancer. The treatment? An aggressive clinical trial offered at Stanford's Lucille Packard Children's Hospital.
It's rough and it's scary, really scary.
He got so tired with the chemo and the radiation. He didn't feel well with all the meds he was on.
I'm a very active kid. It was hard not exercising because all I wanted to do was, Mom, can I get out of the hospital bed? Nope. All right, I'll wait till tomorrow.
It's the worst thing possible you could ever imagine, is watching your child suffer.
Seeing a little guy fighting for his life, very hard, but we gotta stay strong in front of him. Some days are really good, some days are very tough on him. Never a bad day, just a tough day.
It was on one of those tough days last winter. Ty had another run-in with the unexpected, but this time in a good way. A very good way.
On this random day in the hospital, these 4 dudes just came in and they just gave me this ball with all these autographs on it. And I said, what are you guys? And they said, oh, we're the Stanford basketball team.
The players came and they all just sat like right next to him, and just, it's been like love at first sight. I mean, Ty was just oodled, slept with the ball every night. He just sat there and snuggled with the ball. He'd get mad at the nurses, he'd want to get an IV, and he'd be like hanging on to the ball.
It was like right then we knew there was going to be a relationship.
That relationship has evolved into something truly remarkable. Every time Ty comes into town for medical treatment, he gets the royal treatment from the Stanford players.
He goes to practice, he goes to his chemo, he goes to the team dinners, then he goes get his radiation. He gets his labs, and he brings the team with him to get his labs.
They are very inspiring. It's unbelievable hanging out with these guys because they are huge giants. Whoa! And I'm little.
He's fun-loving. You know, he's always joking around, always cracking jokes, always teasing us.
Oh, Blake!
It always makes it more fun. I mean, whether it's playing one-on-one with him after practice or having a Nerf war, it lightens the mood, and it's a much better environment when he's out there.
We are so grateful, and it's so amazing. They don't even realize, I don't think, how powerful the healing aspect has been for Ty, and letting him believe in himself and stand back up again and fight.
The fight is ongoing. Lab tests every 3 months determine the status of Ty's tumor, most of which was extracted last year. It's a recurring hold-your-breath sort of experience for the Whistler family. At his most recent appointment, outstanding news.
This is October. This is yesterday.
Sure enough, a couple of surprise visitors stopped by to share in the moment.
Oh, my man. How are you doing? Good to see you.
What up? This guy is much smaller and less bright. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good job. This is a long, long process. Yeah.
There you go, Ty.
It's incredible. It almost brought tears to, our eyes this morning. Give me a hug, man. It's great to see someone that's dear to our heart like him have such great news.
It was so special, and it just shows how great of people they are that they'll allow people like me and Dorian to come into their lives and try to help them out. But I think really they're helping us out more than we're helping them.
But the surprises didn't stop there.
For you, Ty, we want to honor you with being our honorary captain tomorrow.
Hey. So tag on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Well, this is a pretty special day here in Stein Maples. We want to introduce you to a young man, 11-year-old Ty Whistler, who is fighting cancer.
And the team has basically adopted him. He's become a member of this Cardinal basketball family and community.
Stanford's 35-point win on that day was its biggest in Pac-12 play in 16 years. Apparently, a little inspiration goes a long way.
Go, boys!
We have the pieces in here to really do something special. Stick together, stick with the plan. You got anything? Fun stuff? Great game.
For the Whistler family, the unexpected is now routine. For the Stanford basketball family, in a season that would typically be defined by wins and losses, the most important result is a tie.
He's in our hearts in every game and every practice. Every day we take the court. He's always in our thoughts.
He gets it. He gets it. It's, yeah, he understands it, and he's so grateful for each day.
There's still some stuff going on, but it's still very positive news. We're always looking, it's going to be good news. No matter what happens, it's going to be good news.
Everyone's like, gosh, so you're so positive. I'm like, well, I'm not going to say, wow, today he got sick 10 times and could barely stand up. No, today he actually woke up and got to take a bath. It's a good day. You have to focus on that stuff. If you sit and, I don't know, dwell on all the other stuff and the stuff that's going on in the world, it doesn't matter. Grateful for today.
You just keep fighting.
At Stanford, Scott Reese, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Crossing the finish line. Up next, we introduce you to a blind man who didn't let his special needs or his homelessness stop him from running a marathon. The good cause that keeps him going.
I was feeling just exhausted out of it completely. And he reminded me, he said, remember that you're running this for children and youth.
And that kid's got game. Want you to check out 14-year-old Nick Rudd. The young ping pong wizard's viral trick shot videos are catching the attention of a lot of people all over the world. This Australian teen has been playing ping pong competitively now since 2015. And get this, he now has more than 80,000 followers on Instagram. More when we return.
Welcome back to this KTVU Fox 2 News special. Running a marathon, no easy feat, right? Even for the healthiest of athletes. So for a man who was born blind, you'd think it would be nearly impossible.
Not so, though, says this man. KTVU's Claudine Wong tells us his hardships in life only made him more determined to cross that finish line.
22-year-old Laurel Hilbert has a quiet, unassuming presence. But once he sets his mind to something, he just doesn't know how to back down. And right now, he has his mind set on running a marathon.
I've not run before. I am an attempted runner.
There is little doubt he will conquer this challenge when you consider how often his resolve has been tested. Laurel was born blind, and at the age of 17, he decided he wanted to come to America.
I'm a Syrian citizen. My family and I lived in Saudi Arabia for a little over 11 years. Prior to 2013, actually, I started to think about changing the course of my life, and so I made the decision to move to the United States.
His mind was made up, even though his family didn't want him to, even though he only had enough money for a single night in a hotel. Hilbert was determined. He slept in parks, and because he didn't speak English, spent hours in the public library teaching himself the language by listening to audiobooks.
And I would pause on every single word, use my dictionary, and move forward. The process was exhausting.
Like, that's a tough life.
It was. I have never experienced homelessness, and I have relatively lived a comfortable life. But I have told myself prior to flying to the United States that no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it.
He moved from LA to New York and finally a year ago to San Francisco. And homelessness would plague him. How many shelters do you think you've stayed in?
Many, to the point I don't remember the names of some of them. And I preferred to sleep on the sidewalk where I actually felt safer. I didn't ask for help.
Through City College, Hilbert was introduced to former San Francisco Supervisor Bevan Dufty, who spent 3 years as the city's point person in the fight against homelessness. Dufty helped get him into housing, but Hilbert was just getting started. He has not forgotten what it feels like to sleep in a shelter.
We know at any given moment that we can be asked to leave.
So he set out to create what he calls a dignified home for homeless youth. The nonprofit just got its official designation in August of last year. It now has 29 volunteers across the country and a growing board of directors that includes Bevan Dufty. The group is working to get licenses to help foster children and homeless youth ages 12 to 24. But as most nonprofits know all too well, fundraising is key. And that's what got him thinking about running this marathon. Training has been hard, but his training partners remind him why he's doing it.
I was feeling just exhausted out of it completely. And he reminded me, he said, remember that you're running this for children and youth. And that, of course, gave me the push to not stop or take a break. And so I focus on this population, part of it because I was one of them, and I have encountered many of those young people who have so much potential in them. Had they only been given a chance.
Claudine Wong, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Well, that does it for this KTVU Fox 2 News special, but our coverage continues online.
And on KTVU.com, you're finding more of the stories you saw and much more. Just click on the Sports tab near the top of our homepage. And thank you so much for joining us.